Welcome along to the Sunday Breakfast Show. Headlines on the way at 7:30. Before then, a UK-born teenager whose proficiency at spreading the teachings of the Catholic Church online led to him being called God's influencer is set to become a saint. Carlo Acutis died in 2006 at the age of 15, meaning he'd be the first millennial, a person born in the early 1980s to late 1990s, to be canonised. It follows Pope Francis attributing a second miracle to him. Well, Bishop Patrick McKinney's from our local Catholic diocese, and he joins us this morning. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
It's lovely to have you here. We were talking about you last week on the show, actually, because you were encouraging people to go to Mass in red, if you remember that.
I was, yes, indeed, for the Feast of Pentecost.
So tell us a little bit about this. I mean, how do you decide to make somebody a saint? What's the process around that?
Okay, the process. Normally, it's about 5 years or so after such a person dies that the process begins. That period of time is just to establish, does that person have a reputation for holiness, for sanctity? I mean, Carlo did, thousands of people knew about his life. And then the cause for his possible canonization is opened. They check to just see there's nothing getting in the way of it, and then it begins. So in the case of Carlo, it was in 2013 that he was declared a servant of God. That's the start of it, really. And then they look for lots of testimony about his life, and that's gathered together. Bound volumes of all this documentation are sent then to the Roman congregation, which looks at possible causes, for saints. 2 years later, I think, Pope Francis recognized Carlo's outstanding virtues for holiness and declared him then venerable. So the first was servant of God, now he's declared venerable, and then they're waiting on miracles to move the process forward. And there were two miracles, one in 2019. I think a 4-year-old Brazilian boy been really struggling to eat without vomiting, a very serious pancreatic disorder. But the little boy and his family did pray for the prayerful intercession of Carlo, and it would appear that day he asked for chips and food, and the disorder had disappeared when the doctors examined him. And then that's great, but then a second miracle is needed if he is to be declared a saint. And that happened 2 years ago. I think a young Costa Rican woman, she had a very serious head injury. She'd come off her bike in a critical condition. Her mum visited Carlo's tomb in Assisi to ask for his prayerful intercession, to pray to God that her daughter would be healed. And again, that same day, she began to breathe. And later scans, the hospital scans, showed that the brain injury had disappeared. And as we know, very recently now, Pope Francis has accepted the two miracles, and I think we're well on the way now towards him being canonized, declared a saint.
So tell us a bit more about Carlo, obviously, and what he did do, because it's quite something, isn't it? Especially as somebody so young.
Yeah. Carlo is both extraordinary and very normal. The normal first, to help sort of relate to him, really. Just a normal young guy, 15, favorite clothes, jeans, sweater, pair of Nikes, loved pets, at school a bit of a joker, loved making his classmates and the teachers laugh. The other side of that, kind and caring. He looked after his classmates, particularly those from time to time who might be picked upon or whatever. He recognized at a very young age, his mum says, that he was quite privileged. They had a house, they had food, they had clothes. But in Milan, the big city where he the family moved to after him being born in London, there were lots and lots of poverty there, lots of poor people. And Carlo, even as a youngster, asked his mum, can we gather together some clothes? Can we try and look after these poor people? So a real mixture of the normal, he loved the internet, very gifted at computer technology, the normal, and yet the quite extraordinary. It seems that even at the age of 3 or 4, he wouldn't let his mum and dad pass churches. He wanted to pop in to say hello to Jesus. So from a very early age, yes, something in his soul resonated with God.
And is there something for people of any faith to learn from Carlo when it comes to communicating with younger people?
Listen. Always listen to young people because they've got some quite remarkable things to say. And Carlo is a wonderful example. Maybe from Carlo, he was big into that we're all unique. All unique. We've all got something to bring. Don't settle to be a photocopy of somebody else, I think was more or less one of his sayings. And I think that would be great encouragement to give to young people of any faith or none at all.
Yeah, absolutely.
Strive to be yourself.
It's really lovely talking to you and hearing about Carlo. Thank you so much for coming on this morning.